And let me share the slides. Okay, so the topic which we are starting today, we will see a lot of things being coming from the traffic engineering course. So it will be a refresher for you. So traffic flow theory, okay, depends upon three main characteristics of the transportation system. And then these three main characteristics are speed, flow, and density. The equations, traffic flow theory, let me explain it. Traffic flow theory basically means the set of equations which we have to estimate and predict traffic flow, okay, or the operations of traffic flow. Those set of equations are known as traffic flow theory. So these set of equations mainly depend upon three main characteristics of traffic: speed, flow, and density. When we talk about speed, so then for traffic operations analysis or traffic flow analysis, we use average speed. And obviously speed can be in miles per hour, kilometers per hour. I think this much you should know and you will remember. Then this average speed can be TMS or SMS. Can someone tell me the full forms of these terms, TMS and SMS? TMS stands for what and SMS stands for what? And these are not messaging services, believe me. Yes, TMS and SMS.
TMS is traffic management system.
Huh?
No?
No.
No.
We are saying average speed is further categorized as TMS or SMS. So think in terms of average speed.
Space means speed, and I think time means speed.
Yeah. You already have the two terms in the first sentence, average speed, so mean speed, MS. And then T is for time and S, this first S is for space. Okay, so time means speed and space means speed. Okay, so average speed can be time means speed or space means speed. The second one, SMS, is more preferred. So we prefer SMS over WhatsApp, right? So SMS is more preferred and more correct to be, and more logical. You can say it in this term, in this manner, that using SMS is more logical and more accurate for describing the operations on our road segment. Okay, TMS is useful for points, but SMS is more useful for segments. Then the second term is flow. So traffic flow, we have discussed it earlier as well. It's a measure of, so you see a new term here, throughput. Throughput through the system. Throughput means how many vehicles can pass through the system, or how many vehicles are passing through the system. This is what we mean by throughput. How many vehicles have passed or can pass from the system. This is traffic flow. Okay, so flow, like I must have explained earlier as well, it does not, if the vehicles are stuck in a traffic jam, you cannot call it as traffic flow, okay, or throughput of the system, because they are stuck. How many vehicles can pass from the system, or how many vehicles are passing from the system, that is the traffic flow or throughput. Okay, so this new term tries to clarify that when we talk about traffic flow, it has to be moving and passing through the system, not getting stuck. Okay, and the units are vehicles per hour, vehicles per hour per lane. It is obviously related to the demand on the segment, but we have conditions, or we have situations in which traffic flow can no longer be taken equal to the demand. Okay, there are systems for that. There are conditions for that. Okay, so traffic flow can sometimes be equal to demand of the system, and in some case it may also be equal to the capacity on the system, capacity of the system. Okay, and obviously if the throughput exceeds the capacity, if the flow exceeds the capacity, then it will limit the throughput. Because if traffic flow keeps on increasing, it goes above capacity, then we have discussed in the last chapter as well, then it will not be the throughput. It will not be the final output of the system. The final output will remain equal to capacity or maybe less than capacity. So traffic flow can be equal to demand, it can be equal to capacity until the flow doesn't exceed demand. The flow exceeds demand, then throughput is limited. It's limited by the capacity. Okay. Then density is a measure of how many vehicles you have on a specific length of the highway, and that length is vehicles per mile or vehicles per kilometer, and then you can make it per lane as well. Okay, and density is measured usually per lane, vehicles per mile per lane or vehicles per kilometer per lane. Okay, these are the main relationships between these three parameters. You can see the speed and density, speed and flow and density. Okay, and in each graph you see two portions, the dotted one, or you can say the slightly dotted one, and the solid one. Okay, so they are saying the dotted one, the slightly dotted one, is showing the oversaturated flow. Oversaturated means what? I've explained it earlier. Oversaturated means what?
More vehicles than the capacity.
More vehicles than the capacity, yes. So this is the time when vehicles, the flow goes over the capacity. Okay, so you can see it's the maximum, right? It's the maximum point for flow, and then after which it is decreasing. And yeah, decreasing. And same thing here, the maximum point for flow. Then after which it will decrease, because obviously after capacity you cannot increase the flow more than that. The throughput cannot be more than that. This is what we said in the previous slide as well. So you can see here we have some terms here. We have SF, which is the free flow speed. Speed when the flow is almost zero. You can see here in this condition as well as in this condition. So when the flow is zero, the density will also be zero, right? When no vehicles are on the road. Okay, when the flow is zero in undersaturated conditions, you can further extend it. That free flow speed is the speed when the flow is almost zero. Okay, in undersaturated conditions. Okay, so the flow is zero because there are no vehicles on the road, so the density is also close to zero. So in that case, you will achieve the free flow speed. Okay, so you can see free flow speed here and here, and then you have the DJ. Okay, and it has nothing to do with any club or music. DJ is a jam density. Okay, the maximum density which you can have, but obviously at that density the flow will become zero, and the flow is zero in oversaturated condition. The flow is zero in oversaturated condition. So you can see here when DJ happens, the speed is also zero, because now it is fully oversaturated traffic jam, complete traffic jam. Okay, so here the speed is zero because the vehicles are jam packed. Okay, and then you have the terms S0 and D0. Okay, and they are basically related to the maximum flow, the capacity, VM. So VM is the capacity, and at VM you achieve S0 speed and you achieve D0 density. Okay, so if you plot S0 and D0 over here, you take S0 from this figure, which is between speed and flow, and you take D0 from this figure, which is between flow and density, and you plot it on this graph. The point at which these two are meeting will be your saturation point. This is the point where you're reaching capacity, because in the speed and density curve you do not have the flow value, right? So I do not know where is the maximum flow here. So this is the maximum flow where S0 and D0 are meeting, and after that you have the the oversaturated condition. Okay, but obviously when density keeps on increasing, speed keeps on decreasing. Okay, you can see it over here. When flow increases, in this figure you can see when flow increases. Okay, so when the flow is zero, the speed is free flow. When the flow is zero in undersaturated condition, so when you are at this phase, okay, so the speed is free flow, and then when the flow increases, speed keeps on decreasing, but the flow reaches maximum, then after which the flow is also decreasing and the speed is also decreasing. So for this part of the curve, the speed and flow are inversely proportional, and then for this part of the curve, they become like they are both decreasing. Okay. So the speed which you will have at maximum flow is S naught. They call it the critical speed. The critical speed. Okay. And density which you will have at this point will be D naught. Okay. And same thing here. When the density is 0, the flow is 0 as well. When then density increases, flow increases until you reach the capacity. So the flow reaches maximum. And then if the density keeps on increasing after that, the flow will start to decrease, because then you will have the queue and you will have the traffic jam because of the flow is decreasing. The density keeps on increasing until you reach the standing capacity. You can say the standing capacity of the system. How many vehicles can stand in the system? These vehicles are not moving, so you cannot call them throughput. Okay, so the flow or the throughput has actually become 0. Okay, and the density which you reach when the flow was maximum is termed here as D naught, the critical density. So S naught and D naught are critical density. And obviously, if you calculate the speed at this point, then you will have S naught. Okay, and if you calculate the speed at this point, it will be SF, free flow speed. Okay, and so on. Similarly, if you come to this graph, find out the density at this point, you will get dj. Okay, jam density. This is a basic relationship between these three parameters. Flow equals speed into density. F, flow, S, speed, and D, density. Flow is equals speed into density. Okay, so F equals S into D. Then if you have flow and density, you can calculate the speed from this formula, S equals to F upon D. And if you have flow and speed, you can calculate density using this equation. Density equals flow upon speed. Okay, so if you have any two parameters from a graph, then you can calculate the parameter of the third graph, right? So if I give you speed and density, you can calculate flow, the first equation. If I give you speed and flow, you can calculate density, the third equation. If I give you flow and density, you can calculate the speed, the second equation. Okay, and this is why you can see here they have marked the parameters. Okay, so if you use this speed and this flow, the density you will get will be the jam density. Okay, and so on and so forth. Now we in these figures we have tried to show you the best fit curve, the line or the curves which can best explain the phenomena which is happening. The actual field data, when you collect field data, okay, they will not follow a straight line like this, or they will not follow smooth curves like this. So this is a representation of the field data. So you can see more variation here. Okay, so if you collect data between speed and density, it will not look like a straight line. You can see here we have tried to just pass a straight line which is best for showing the trend. Okay, and same thing here. So you can see I can draw a curve like this over here. Let me draw it. So the straight line was not necessarily a straight line with the field values. We have just tried to plot a line which can, which is passing through most of the points, or which is passing through, the main points of the curve, the main points of the data. Okay, similarly, this one was shown like this. The curve was shown like this. Okay, but the actual field data is more complicated. This is always the case. This is always the case. The actual field data is more complicated, more complex, and you try to explain it using something which is easier. Okay, so you can see these are the curves which we have plotted. Okay, so the shapes are not exactly followed in the field, but this is the best we can do to develop our equation. If you just go for the actual, then there will be no equations. Every time you have to calculate the speed, flow, or density, you have to go in the field and collect your data. Okay, so you can imagine how difficult your work can be. So we collect field data, and then we try to come up with something with some equations which are best suited. I think I explained this term in the previous chapter. All models are wrong, but some are useful. So these are the most useful models we have. They have some differences, some errors from the field data, but these are the most useful models we can have. Okay. Then we have, like you mentioned, time mean speed and the space mean speed. So now we are going into more detailed discussion of these three parameters, speed, flow, and density. So TMS is mainly used in field studies. Okay, so you want to do a field study for a specific purpose, for a specific application, for maybe accident analysis, accident investigation, for measuring the effectiveness of a speed bump or a traffic camera or something like that. Then you go for TMS studies. Otherwise, you calculate SMS, space mean speed. Okay, and this is the one which is required by highway capacity manual. So if you want to calculate level of service, you want to calculate capacity, you want to do traffic operation analysis, then you require SMS. TMS is always more than SMS, and the difference is normally 2% or less. The difference between TMS and SMS, there is a difference. So they are not always the same, and that difference is 2% or less. So difference is there, but it is not so high. Okay. TMS is simply the arithmetic average of average speed of the vehicles which are passing through a point. Okay, which are passing through a point. So this is the main term here. They are passing through a point. Okay, so they are not passing through. So this is not the speed taken over the complete section, over the complete segment, and this is why we don't use it for traffic analysis operation, because, or traffic analysis and operational analysis, because these things are done for the whole segment. Okay. And then we have a space mean speed, which is the straight average of speeds if speeds were measured over a segment. See, so again, this is the average speed, but the speed should be measured over a segment. Now, how can I measure speed over a segment? By using the travel time taken by the car to go through the segment. Okay, this is the only way you can measure the speed over the whole segment. It doesn't mean that you take multiple values of a car over the segment and then you take the average, that will become the speed of the segment. This because even with multiple values for a car, you still don't know when it has changed the speed. Okay, so we just take the travel time of the whole segment, the travel time of a car for the whole segment. Or in case where you do not have enough time or you do not have resources to measure the travel time, you can use the spot speeds as well, the speeds which are taken over a point, the speeds which you can use for finding out TMS. You can use the same speeds for finding out SMS as well, but then you will take the harmonic mean. Okay, harmonic mean of these speeds. Okay, so if you want to use the spot speeds which are taken over a point, because you could not take the travel time, then don't take simple average, take the spot speed, the harmonic mean of the spot speed. These are the equations. So this one is for TMS. Okay, simple average of speeds. S is the speed of, SI is the speed of each vehicle, and N is the number of vehicles for which you measure the speed. Okay, and this is the normal equation for SMS when you have measured travel time. So you can see the travel time term here. Okay, and N is the number of vehicles for which we have measured the speed. And what is L here? L should be
the segment distance.
Yeah, the segment distance. Okay, so L should be the segment distance. There is no other way here. Okay, or if you don't have T, and then you can use the harmonic mean of the spot speed, which is 1 upon S. So harmonic means you take the inverse of each value and then take the summation, and N again still remains the number of vehicles for which you have measured the speed. Okay, so these are the two ways in which you can calculate SMS. Okay, in a speed study, the speeds were collected from 9 vehicles at a fixed point. So these are all spot speeds, and you can see the 9 values here. Calculate the time mean speed and space mean speed. Okay, these vehicles speeds are fixed over a half a mile segment. You have to calculate the corresponding travel times and show that the space mean speed calculated from these travel times matches the point estimate. Okay, so so you have to calculate the space mean speed using both approaches like I showed you. Okay, so let us calculate the time mean speed first. Time mean speed is very simple. Just take the average of these values, how much you are getting.
37.5.
37.5. And obviously the units will be miles per hour. Okay. Now they said use both the approaches to calculate. First of all, calculate using the point estimate. Point estimate meaning the use of the these speeds which are taken over a point to calculate SMS. Then in that case we will use a harmonic mean, right? So for each value you have to take the inverse, okay, and then you will do the summation of these inverses in the denominator, okay. So give me the value for SMS as the harmonic mean. So n is 9 here, and then you have to do the summation of all the inverses of the speed.
$37.3.
37.3. Okay. As they said earlier, TMS is always higher than SMS, so you can see it over here. Okay, TMS is higher, SMS is lower. Okay, although you are using the same speeds, but the difference you can see only 0.2. Okay, now they said assume that these speeds are taken over a half a mile segment, or these speeds are constant for a half a mile segment. So what will be the travel times, and then we will use the travel time equation to calculate the SMS again. So we need the travel time for each of these values. Let me make a column here. Okay, so give me the values for travel time, and I think okay, should we keep it in hours? It will be in fractions. All of them will be in fractions then. I don't mind. Keep them in fractions, no problem. Why should we do the conversion to hours and seconds? Because then we have to convert it again. We'll keep it in hours. So each value is for half a mile. Give me the travel time for each value. Yes. How much for this speed? 35? You have a speed, you have distance, you are calculating time. I think this should be easy.
0.0143.
0.014. Okay, go ahead. The distance remains the same.
0.013.
0.013.
0.016. 0.012. 0.013. 0.014.
Okay.
0.013 again. 0.014 and 0.013.
Okay, and their summation will be
0.12.
0.12. Okay, then the other equation of SMS says do 9 upon 0.12. And you should be getting this.
Doctor, it must be a 9 multiplied by the length, right?
Yes, sorry. 9 multiplied by the length, yeah. So half a mile, right? You should be getting this. I hope so. 37.3, right?
Yes.
Okay, now why TMS is always higher than SMS? This is a point which is not explained here, but I will tell you, because SMS is more affected by the slow moving vehicles. SMS, due to its method of calculation, has more weightage or has more effect of the slow moving vehicles as compared to TMS. Okay, so even if you have the same number of vehicles and the same speeds, these speeds will have more effect in the equation of SMS as compared to TMS. You can see it here because we are taking the inverse, or if you take the calculate the travel time, it will show you the same effect. Now TMS and SMS, they said they always have a difference, but there is a theoretical scenario in which these can be equal, and that scenario is if all vehicles, and I think they have already mentioned the scenario themselves. If all vehicles move at a constant speed throughout the segment, then TMS and SMS will become equal. Okay, if all vehicles move at a constant speed throughout the segment, half a mile is not a segment. Okay, throughout the whole segment, then TMS and SMS can become equal. Okay, so it's a theoretical scenario. Obviously, nobody can maintain the same speed for the whole section. Okay, so the parameters which we have discussed right now, speed, flow, and density, these are macroscopic parameters. Macroscopic meaning what? They describe the combined or aggregated. Aggregated means combined. When you are taking a summation of something, and when you are compiling something one over the other, that is called as aggregation, adding. So this is the combined or the added performance of the number of vehicles. So you take data for 15 minutes for example, and then you come up with a macroscopic parameter which is representing all the vehicles, or which is coming from all these vehicles. Okay, and these macroscopic parameters are used for predicting future states of traffic, how traffic is changing, traffic flow is changing presently as well as in future. Okay, so this will describe the whole traffic flow. These parameters are relative to the whole traffic flow. For example, we just used speed. Okay, so TMS, SMS, both were macroscopic because they were calculated as average. So TMS and SMS belong to all those 9 vehicles. The TMS or SMS came out from those 9 vehicles. Okay, so that became a macroscopic parameter because it is coming out of the data of 9 vehicles. Okay, similarly, the data which you have taken for your term projects, the 15 minutes vehicle counts, these are what? These are flow values. These are flow values. So again, you gave me one value, right? That in 15 minutes we observe what? This much flow, 600 vehicles, 700 vehicles, 500 vehicles. So this is one value which is for all these vehicles. One value which is coming out of all these vehicles. Okay, for the complete flow it is one value. Okay, and similarly you have also calculated speed as well. So if you take the average speed for the cars or for the vehicles from your term project data, from the first submission data, and then you use the equation which I showed you between speed, flow, and density in the previous slides. So if you use those equations, so you have the speed, you calculate the average speed, and you have the the flow as well. So you can calculate density, and again density will be for all the vehicles which are in that segment, because what are the units of density? Vehicles per mile. So for all the vehicles which are in 1 mile segment, you have one value. Okay, so again it is a combined value for all these vehicles, one value for all these vehicles. Now then, microscopic parameter. Microscopic parameters are defined for individual drivers and vehicles. Individual drivers and vehicles. For example, headway. Headway is a microscopic parameter. Okay. How do we define headway? It is the time between two successive vehicles which are passing through a fixed point. So this is your point, for example, and you are standing here. Okay. So let's say you are a round figure like me, and you are standing here. And so when the first vehicle passes this point, you start your stopwatch. Okay. And when the second vehicle passes the same point, this is your fixed point then, okay? The point of your observation. So when the second vehicle passes over this point, the second vehicle after this one, okay? The first one, they are not passing simultaneously. I'm just trying to make two vehicles here. So when the second vehicle passes over the same point, you will record the time. And that time will be the headway. Okay, and when the third vehicle passes, you will record the time from the second vehicle. When the fourth vehicle passes, you will record the time from the third vehicle, and so on. So you will have headway between each two vehicles. Okay. So usually it is measured from the front bumper, because you see the front bumper. The first thing you see passing over the point is the front bumper. Okay, but you can take any fixed element of the vehicle as well as your reference point. So you may say I will measure the travel time, or I will start measuring the time with the front wheel. This is also allowed. Okay, so from any reference point of the vehicle, but it should be the same. It should be the same. So front bumper, when the front bumper of the first vehicle passes, to the front bumper of the next vehicle. When the front bumper of the next vehicle passes. Okay, you cannot do it front bumper to back bumper or front bumper to front wheel. No, then it should be the same. Okay, should be the same element for both vehicles. On arterials, minimum headway is 2 seconds. Okay. Then using the headway, you can calculate the flow rate, not flow. You call it flow rate. The correct term is flow rate. In the book, they are calling flow, but the correct term which we have used earlier is flow rate. But you can see here now they are using flow rate, saturation flow rate. So how did 2 seconds of headway gave me 1800 vehicles per hour of flow rate? Can somebody guess? How did I calculate that I can pass to 1800 vehicles per hour if the headway is 2 seconds? Can someone tell me? Again, something which we covered in the traffic course.
Doctor, the 1 hour has 3,600 seconds. Divided by 2 for each headway, you will get 1,800 vehicles.
Yes, good. So 2 seconds means the difference between each two vehicles. So after every 2 seconds, you have another vehicle. Okay, so after every 2 seconds, you have a vehicle. So in 3,600 seconds, you can have 1,800 vehicles per hour. Yeah, very good. So this value is known as the saturation flow rate for signals. On signals, we normally assume that the headway is around 2 seconds, same as the arterial, and in that case, you can achieve a maximum flow rate or the saturation flow rate of 1,800 vehicles per hour. Obviously, this is a theoretical value. This is a theoretical value for signals, because signals have red time as well, they have yellow time as well. So this flow will not continue for 1 hour. The flow will not continue for 1 hour. So you can say this is the absolute maximum you can have theoretically. It's an ideal value. Okay. And you can use it for arterials, and you can use it for signals as well. But it's for arterials without signal, it's no problem. This is you can take it as a maximum flow rate. But for signal, it is, we don't call it maximum flow rate, we call it saturation flow rate, because that is considered as a an ideal value. Okay, theoretical value. For basic freeways, okay, so freeways are a type of arterial, right? So we are talking about here with other arterials, and basic freeways are the highest type of arterial you have without any intersection, all ramps, all axis controlled. So in that case, headway will be higher. sorry, headway will be lower. Headway will be lower, 1.5 seconds. So after every 1.5 seconds, you have another vehicle. So in 3,600 seconds, how many vehicles you can have? 2,400 vehicles per hour. And this is the maximum flow. Now you can see here, they're not using the word saturation flow rate here. They are calling it maximum flow rate. So the maximum flow rate you can have on a freeway is 2,400 vehicles per hour. Now, this can happen. This can happen. If all vehicles are traveling at 1.5 seconds, because there is no signal there. There is no signal, no interruption. So vehicles can keep on moving with 1.5 seconds of headway. Okay, so you have the point here is if you have headway, you can calculate the flow rate, okay, by dividing it with the number of seconds of the hour. And secondly, the headway is, inversely proportional with the flow rate. You can see it over here. So when the headway increases, the flow rate decreases. So we have saturation headway, which is basically the minimum headway which you can have. Okay, the minimum headway which you can have, which I have showed you in the previous slide. The 1.5 second and the 2 seconds are basically the minimum headway. The saturation headway. Saturation is basically the minimum headway which the drivers can, which the drivers can keep between each other. Saturation headway is that minimum value that which the drivers are willing to keep between each other, which they consider safe for themselves. Okay, so 2 seconds for RTS, 1.5 seconds for freeways, according to their own data, the data which they have collected in USA. Okay, if you have doubt, collect your own data, no problem. Okay, but it is not possible that on all highways you can attain saturation headway value. Okay, it is not possible that on all segments of the highway you can attain a saturation headway value. Okay, because this can the headway will increase between the vehicles because of certain conditions on the road. For example, if you have curvature. Okay, if you have curvature on the road, so the road itself is going along a curve like this. Okay, then normally the headway between the vehicles increases. Okay, because of the curvature they are slowing down, so their headway will increase. Or it can also happen if you have a right or left turning lane. So that right or left turning lane also are along a curvature. Okay, so wherever you experience or encounter curvature on the road because of turning or because of the alignment of the road, you will have increase in the headway. Okay, gradients can also increase the headway. So headway is normally higher on the level terrain as compared to gradients. Lane widths. Now, what can be the relationship between lane width and headway? If I increase lane width, what would happen to headway? Will it increase or decrease?
Increase.
Increase, yes, because you are more restricted. You are more restricting the driver in terms of width, so he will try to keep more distance in terms of the length from the other driver. Okay, so it will increase. If I increase the headway, the drivers normally tend to go slower and they will maintain more headway between the other vehicles. Frictional effects. Okay, normal friction of the road. Sometimes the pavement is not in a good condition, so the friction increases because of that, and that will also increase the headway because vehicles will slow down. Friction can also be affected due to weather conditions. So you have rain or snowfall or something like that. That can also play with the friction, increase or decrease the friction. In any case, whenever you deviate from the normal friction of the road, vehicles tend to slow down and the headway tends to increase. Okay, if you have work zones, construction activities, maintenance activities happening on the field, it also increases the headway. Incidents, accidents. Incidents basically mean accidents. Okay, incidents basically mean accidents. So they also tend to increase the headway. People are looking at what happened to the other cars. They forget about themselves, and this is human nature. And this is how when we are reading Quran and when we are reading about what happened to previous nations, we read it as stories. It fascinates us. We don't take any lessons from them. We should. When you are measuring capacity, okay, then the capacity can be measured in two ways. Either you can find out the maximum total throughput of the system, the maximum flow rate of the system, VM, which I showed you in the previous graphs, or you can find out the saturation headway. So how to use the saturation headway to calculate flow rate? We have already seen it in the previous slide. Okay, just divide it with the number of seconds in the hour, you will get the capacity. So the 2400 and the 1800 which I was showing you, 2400 was the capacity of the freeway, and 1800 can be the capacity of the arterial. So these values are coming from the saturation headway. So for calculation of capacity, we have two ways. You can use the saturation headway, or you can use the maximum flow which is happening in the system. Then we have another microscopic parameter, which is spacing. Okay, this is now microscopic parameter can be many. Keep it in mind. Microscopic parameters and macroscopic parameters as well. They can be many, but we are just discussing the most important ones. So spacing is another important microscopic parameter, and this is the distance between two vehicles. Which should be taken from a photograph. It should be taken from a photograph. Obviously, we don't do it. Okay. So it's like when at a particular time instant, at any particular time instant, you measure the distance between two vehicles again from the same reference point, from the same reference element. So maybe from the front bumper to front bumper, or front wheel to front wheel. Okay, at any point of time when you measure the distance between two vehicles for the same reference point, it is spacing. This spacing. Okay, vehicles which are successive, vehicles which are going one after the other. Okay, between successive vehicles. So that is spacing. Okay, so headway was the time interval between two successive vehicles. So we can measure it because vehicles are moving. As for spacing, either they should be stopped somewhere, or either you can take like a picture and then measure the spacing. Okay. So again, spacing is normally measured from front bumper to front bumper. Okay, but other elements are also allowed. You can calculate spacing from headway. Spacing can be calculated from headway if you have the speed. If you have the speed, then spacing can be measured from headway as well. For example, you have a 50 mile per hour arterial, an arterial which has a speed of 50 miles per hour, and on this arterial you measure the headway, minimum headway of 2 seconds per vehicle. Okay, so 50 miles per hour, and the headway is obviously in seconds. So first of all, I will convert it to feet per second. So when you convert the speed to feet per second, you will get 50. You will multiply 50 with 1.467. So this is the conversion factor to convert miles per hour to feet per second. Okay, so you will get speed in feet per second then. Okay, and then what is headway? Headway is the time taken to cover the spacing between the two vehicles, right? This is spacing, right? This is spacing. So how much time the vehicle will take to cover this much distance? Okay, at 50 miles per hour, that will give you that is the headway. Okay, so I already know that after one vehicle, how much time the other vehicle is taking to cover this spacing. That is headway, and I know the speed. So speed into time will give you the spacing. Okay, speed into time will give you the spacing. Okay, so 50 into 1.467 for the conversion, then multiply by 2, which is the time taken to cover the spacing. So that's what this gives you the spacing. Speed into distance gives you spacing. Oh, sorry, speed into time gives you distance. Okay, so distance. Okay, so you understood the logic. Is there any question here? Okay, I'm saying we know the speed, the average speed of the vehicles, and the headway is basically the time taken by the following vehicle to cover the spacing to the next vehicle. Okay, because this is the time interval which the vehicle has taken to come this point, right? My reference point. So how much time this vehicle has taken to come to this point? It has taken 2 seconds. Okay, so you know the speed, you multiply with the time, you get the spacing. Okay, and per vehicle, obviously it's per vehicle, because after every 147.6 feet you will have the next vehicle in the queue, right, or in the segment. So after 147.6 feet from this vehicle, you will have the next vehicle and so on. Okay, so it's not like flow. It's not like flowing. This is just a fixed value which is for each vehicle, which is between each two vehicles. Is there any question here? Okay, did you understand the logic behind it? So I'm multiplying the speed with the headway to calculate spacing. Why? Because headway is the time taken to cover this much distance, the distance between the two vehicles. Okay. Now the effect of spacing on speed, okay, and the effect of headway you can see here as well. Okay. So we have two lines here. Okay, this one is when you have, you know, a 2-second headway, and this one is when you have a 1.5-second headway. So this one is for arterial and this one is for a freeway. Okay, so you can see here the spacing. Okay, the spacing is higher for 2 seconds as compared to 1.5 seconds. Obviously, this is very obvious. You have more time interval between the two vehicles. That means you have more distance between them as well. Okay, and in both cases, so spacing is directly proportional to headway. Secondly, you can see that with more headway, I'm having less speed with the same spacing. If I keep the same spacing, okay, and the same if I keep the same spacing, okay, but the headway is different, that means the speed is increasing at same spacing. The headway is inversely proportional to speed. At same spacing, the headway is inversely proportional to speed. So if I give the spacing same, so this is the spacing, let's say 140 feet is the spacing. Okay, so you can see here I have higher speed here, and what is the difference between this line and this line? The headway. Okay, so with less headway, the same spacing may give you a higher speed. Okay, or a higher speed. Let me reverse it because speed is on the x-axis. So a higher speed with less headway can give you same spacing. A higher speed at same spacing can give you a lesser headway. A higher speed with same spacing means a lesser headway. Okay, now you can see they have marked 2 points here. Okay, so this one is for 50 miles per hour arterial. So the 50 miles per hour arterial, when you are maintaining a headway of 2 seconds, then you can achieve spacing of around 140 feet or something. Okay, and if you maintain a headway of 2 seconds on a 70 mile per hour freeway, then you can achieve a spacing of a higher spacing. You can see here a higher spacing. So although the headway has reduced, although the headway is less, this is 1.5 second headway. For this line, the headway is 1.5 second. Okay, so if you keep a higher, if you increase the speed and decrease the, if you increase the speed with less headway, that can give you more spacing. Higher speed at less headway can give you more spacing because the speed is higher, so the cars are taking less time to cover the spacing, but the spacing is actually between the cars is higher. Okay, and this is one doubt which you may have had when I said the headway between the cars on arterial is 1.5 second. Then you may say it is very close and the vehicles are moving so fast, so how they can maintain a headway of 1.5 second? Because 1.5 second at higher speed basically means more spacing. Okay, so even when the headway is decreasing, since the speed is higher, the spacing between the cars is increasing actually. Okay, so this is a very important point. On high speed roads, you have less headway, but that doesn't mean the spacing is also reducing. Okay, that will be the case if the speed is constant. At constant speed, the headway and spacing both will be proportional to each other. But if you increase the speed, at higher speed, less headway can still mean more spacing between the cars. less headway can still mean more distance between the cars if their speed is getting higher. Okay, so this graph I have tried to explain. I don't know how much of you have understood here. So at constant speed, spacing and headway directly proportional to each other. Okay, at constant spacing, when you increase the headway, speed reduces. At constant spacing, speed and headway are inversely proportional to each other. At constant spacing, speed and headway are inversely proportional to each other. Okay, and if you are increasing the speed, then even lesser headway can result in higher spacing. Okay, so the spacing will increase with the speed at constant headway. If you keep the headway as constant, the spacing will increase with the speed. Okay, which I have shown you here. If the headway is constant, okay, for this line, for example, the headway is constant, then spacing, you can see when the speed is increasing, the spacing is also increasing. Okay, so you can see here spacing and headway are affecting speed, and the speed is getting affected by the flow and density as well, like we have seen earlier. So I have taken too much time. We will see in the next lecture how spacing and headway are related to other parameters of traffic flow. Okay, Ali Akil, Ali Salah, Iman Kamil. Not here. Okay. Asma Khalil, Zahra Sayyed, Nujuz Salah. Zahra Sayyed, not here. Dana Nasir, Nadine Hussam, Noor Yusuf. Okay, Noor Yusuf. Dana Isa, Reem Abdul Hamid, Zainab Muhammad. Noor is here. Okay, okay. Asil Adnan, Nadir Abdul Munim, Latifa Ahmad. Latifa is there. Asil Adnan, okay. Nadir, okay. Salma Jafar, Qasim Tahir, Badr Ghassan. Okay. Muhammad Akbar, Ahmad Amin, and Ibrahim Muhammad. Okay, Ibrahim. Okay. Thank you. Sorry for the delay. See you guys on Thursday, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.